My parents chose my brother over me at Christmas dinner and humiliated me in front of everyone. But what I did after everyone went to sleep changed our family forever. Hey Reddit. I'm 36 now, a software engineer living in a quiet suburb on the outskirts of a mid-sized city. The kind of guy who spends his days hunched over a laptop, debugging lines of code that never seem to cooperate. It's a solitary job. Me, my coffee-stained desk, and endless screens. But it pays the bills and gives me a sense of control in a world that often feels chaotic. Outside of work, I'm the type who prefers quiet evenings with a book or a long walk in the park, avoiding the spotlight because, let's face it, I've never been the one who shines in crowds. Growing up, I was always the quiet one, overshadowed by my golden boy brother who excelled at everything. Sports, grades, you name it. While he was out scoring touchdowns and acing tests, I was the kid in the background, content with my comics and video games. My parents doted on him like he was the second coming, showering him with praise and opportunities. They'd frame his trophies on the mantle, brag about his latest achievements at family gatherings, and even rearrange their schedules around his busy life. Me? I got the occasional good job for decent report cards, but it always felt like an afterthought. I remember one summer when he got a brand new bike for his birthday, and I got his old one. Hand-me-downs were my norm. It stung, but I learned to swallow it, telling myself it was just how things were. Now, as an adult, that resentment simmers beneath the surface. I live alone in a modest apartment, no spouse or kids to complicate things after a messy divorce a few years back. I call my parents weekly, but the conversations are surface level, work updates, weather talk, nothing deep. They never ask about my life beyond the basics, too wrapped up in my brother's world. Christmas dinners, though? Those are the worst. They turn into these forced family reunions, packed with aunts, uncles, and cousins, where I'd sit there, smiling through the awkward silences, wondering why I ever bothered showing up. It's like I'm invisible, a ghost at my own family's table, while my brother basks in the glow. But this year, something inside me snapped. I arrived with a gift I'd saved for, a rare bottle of wine, and hoped for a change. Little did I know, it would be the night that changed everything. It wasn't always like this. As kids, my brother got the new bikes and the praise for A's, while I got hand-me-downs and a pat on the back for trying hard. I remember one birthday when he unwrapped a shiny red scooter, and I got his old one, painted over with chipped blue. Mom and Dad would brag about his college scholarships, his perfect marriage, his thriving business. They'd light up at family dinners, sharing stories of how he'd save the day at work again. Me? I was the one who moved back home after a messy divorce, scraping by on freelance gigs that barely covered rent. I'd call them every week, but they'd brush me off, too busy with his latest achievement. "Oh, honey, your brother's just so busy," Mom would say, her voice trailing off. It stung, but I buried it, telling myself it was just sibling rivalry. That resentment built over years. In high school, while he captained the football team and got scouted for colleges, I hid in the library, acing tests but never getting the spotlight. Parents' evenings? They'd beam at his awards, then glance at mine with a polite nod. "Good effort," Dad would mutter, like it was a consolation prize. Even as adults, it persisted. His wedding was a lavish affair, with toasts and photos galore. Mine? A courthouse quickie that ended in heartbreak. Now, at 36, I live alone, haunted by those echoes. Why did I keep showing up? Maybe for a shred of approval, or to prove I belonged. This Christmas, I thought things might be different. I'd even brought a gift, a rare bottle of wine I'd saved for months, hoping to impress. But as soon as I walked in, the air felt thick. The house was decked out, lights, tree, the works, but the warmth wasn't for me. My brother arrived with his trophy wife and kids, greeted like royalty. Mom hugged him tight. Dad clapped his back. Me? A quick "Hey, son," and a handshake. I forced a smile, unpacking the wine, but inside, doubt swirled. Was I fooling myself? The simmering frustration bubbled up, whispering that this was my breaking point. I could feel the tension coiling, ready to snap. Little did I know, the dinner ahead would push me over the edge. Why don't you just admit it, son? Your brother's the one who makes us proud, my dad said, his voice booming across the table as he raised his glass to my brother, ignoring the plate I'd spent hours preparing. The room fell silent, all eyes on me. My mom, aunts, uncles, even my brother's smug wife. While I sat there, fork frozen midair, my face burning like I'd been slapped. The turkey was still steaming, the mashed potatoes untouched on my plate, but suddenly, the festive chatter died. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Dad's words hung in the air, sharp and final, as if he'd just declared judgment. My brother smirked, leaning back in his chair, his arm draped possessively over his wife's shoulder. He didn't say a word, but his eyes gleamed with that familiar triumph. The same look he'd given me when he stole the spotlight in school plays or got the bigger slice of cake. I tried to laugh it off earlier, cracking jokes about my job to lighten the mood, but now, with the wine flowing and the gifts piled under his tree, I felt the weight of 36 years of being second best crush me. Mom shifted uncomfortably, her gaze darting between us, but she didn't defend me. The aunts exchanged glances, whispering behind napkins, while Uncle Joe cleared his throat awkwardly. It was humiliating, like being stripped bare in front of everyone I knew. My hands trembled under the table. I wanted to scream, to throw my plate, and storm out. But I didn't. Instead, a strange calm washed over me. This was it, the moment I dreaded and fantasized about. What if I just walked away? But deep down, I knew this humiliation was the tipping point. If I didn't act, I'd lose myself forever. As the night dragged on, I smiled through the toasts, nodding along to stories of my brother's latest promotion, his perfect kids, his flawless life. Yet, inside, something shifted. I wasn't the victim anymore. A plan was forming, quiet and deliberate, one that would flip the script when the lights went out. I excused myself to refill drinks, my mind racing, and caught my brother's eye. He looked uneasy for the first time. The power was slipping, and I could taste it. But what would happen next? The question gnawed at me as the clock ticked toward midnight, the house alive with oblivious laughter. After dessert, I excused myself to the kitchen, pretending to clean up while my heart pounded like a bass drum in my chest. The laughter from the living room echoed through the walls, sharp, mocking bursts that made my skin crawl. Stories of my brother's latest promotion floated in, how he'd saved the day, at work again, closing some big deal that had everyone oohing and awing. I stared at the sink, gripping the edge until my knuckles whitened, the cold porcelain biting into my palms. The air smelled of cinnamon and burnt pie crust, a sickly sweet reminder of the holiday facade. Why did I always let this happen? Year after year, I'd show up, hoping for a crumb of recognition, only to be shoved aside. A voice in my head whispered to confront them right there, march back in, slam my fist on the table, and demand to know why I was the afterthought. But I knew that'd just make me the villain, the ungrateful son ruining Christmas. No, I needed something bigger, something that would shatter their illusions and make them see the truth. Leaning against the counter, I closed my eyes, replaying the dinner scene. Dad's booming voice, Mom's averted gaze, the smug curl of my brother's lip. But as I thought about it, cracks appeared. Sure, he was the golden boy on the surface, thriving business, perfect family, but I'd overheard things over the years. Whispers from cousins about his creative accounting at work, how his marriage wasn't as idyllic as it seemed. Last summer, I'd caught him arguing with his wife on the phone, his voice low and angry, something about debts piling up. Was he really the success they painted him as, or just a master of smoke and mirrors? The doubt gnawed at me, fueling the fire. If I exposed that, would it change anything? Or would it just burn me too? My mind raced, weighing the risks. Storm out now, cut ties forever? That felt cowardly, like running from a fight I'd never started. Confront him privately? But he'd twist it, play the victim. No, I needed leverage, something undeniable. As the clock ticked past midnight, the house quieted, the clink of glasses fading, footsteps shuffling to beds. I slipped upstairs, my footsteps muffled on the creaky stairs, the air growing cooler with each step. My room was a sanctuary of sorts, cluttered with old books and forgotten photos, but tonight it felt like a war room. I paced, the floorboards groaning under me, heart still thudding. Memories flooded back, that dusty attic box I'd stumbled upon years ago, filled with letters and documents my parents thought they'd hidden. Adoption papers? Family secrets buried deep? I'd buried them too, but now they whispered possibilities. What if I used them? The idea terrified and thrilled me. Was I crossing a line? Becoming the monster I'd always feared? But the humiliation burned hotter, pushing me forward. I grabbed a flashlight, my hands steadying as resolve hardened. The house slept, oblivious, but I was wide awake, teetering on the edge of something irreversible. What would I find? What would I do with it? The questions looped in my mind as I crept toward the attic door, the darkness swallowing my doubts. The house was dark, everyone snoring in their beds, when I crept into the attic, the creaky door protesting softly as I eased it open. The air up there was thick with dust and the faint scent of mothballs, a forgotten corner of the house where secrets gathered like cobwebs. My flashlight beam cut through the shadows, illuminating stacks of old boxes and yellowed newspapers. I'd stumbled upon this place years ago, during a late-night rummage, but I'd shoved the memory aside until now. My heart hammered in my chest, each beat echoing the humiliation from dinner. Dad's booming words, the silent stares, the way my brother had basked in it all. This was my moment to reclaim control, to flip the script on a lifetime of being second. I knelt by the far wall, where a battered trunk sat hidden under a tarp. My hands shook as I lifted the lid, the hinges groaning like a warning. Inside, a dusty box of old letters and photos stared back, my parents' hidden archive. I rifled through it, fingers brushing faded envelopes and Polaroids of happier times. Then, there it was, a faded envelope, tucked away like a guilty secret. I pulled it out, my breath catching. Adoption papers for my brother, signed in secret when I was just a kid. The dates matched, right after my birth, when they'd struggled with infertility. They never told me. They'd chosen him over me in ways I couldn't imagine, weaving a web of lies to protect their image. The revelation hit like a punch. All those years of favoritism, the praise heaped on him, the scraps for me. It was built on this deception. I wasn't the outsider. He was the one they'd picked, not born into the family like I'd believed. Tears stung my eyes, a mix of rage and sorrow. Was this betrayal worse than the dinner? It explained everything. The doting, the blindness to his flaws. But exposing it, what would it do? Destroy us all? I sat there, flashlight flickering, weighing the fallout. Confronting them face to face would be messy, but this, slipping the truth under their door, was clean, irrevocable. With a deep breath, I folded the papers, added a note. Merry Christmas. Now you know the truth. My legs felt heavy as I descended, the house silent except for the distant tick of the grandfather clock. I slid the envelope under their bedroom door, the paper whispering against the wood. Then, I retreated to my room, adrenaline crashing into exhaustion. Sleep eluded me. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd just saved or shattered everything. By morning, the screams woke the house, sharp, piercing wails that shattered the holiday calm. I heard Mom first, her voice breaking as she sobbed. How could you? Dad's murmurs were low, stunned. Footsteps pounded downstairs. My brother stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook, his face a mask of fury. The aunts and uncles gathered in hushed clusters, piecing together the chaos. Our family fractured that day, the lies exposed like a wound. But for the first time, I wasn't the invisible one. They had to face what they'd built on deception, the favoritism crumbling under the weight of truth. I walked away with my head high, knowing I'd finally shifted the balance, from victim to the one who held the power. The fallout was brutal, but it was real. Our dynamics would never be the same. The secrets had changed us forever. Weeks later, the calls started, hesitant, awkward ones that broke the silence I'd imposed. Mom's voice trembled on the line. "We need to talk, son." Her usual confidence shattered. Dad was gruffer, muttering apologies that felt forced, like he was reading from a script. I agreed to a family meeting at a neutral spot, a quiet cafe downtown, where the air hummed with the clink of coffee cups instead of holiday cheer. Sitting there, surrounded by my parents, aunts, and uncles, the tension was palpable. No one knew where to start. My brother showed up last, his eyes red-rimmed, avoiding mine at first. We talked for the first time in years, not as rivals clawing for scraps, but as equals grappling with the wreckage. He admitted the adoption had weighed on him too, a secret he'd sensed but never confronted. It wasn't forgiveness overnight, but a crack in the wall we'd all built. Mom and Dad, they're trying to rebuild, but the favoritism died that night, buried under the truth. Therapy sessions became our new ritual, family ones where we unpacked decades of unspoken hurts. Dad opened up about the pressures of providing, how adopting my brother felt like a lifeline after struggles with me. Mom confessed to guilt, her doting away to compensate for the lie. It's messy, arguments flare, but there's honesty now, raw and real. My brother and I even grab beers sometimes, sharing stories without the old bitterness. He stepped back from the pedestal, focusing on his own flaws, while I've grown. I moved out of that quiet suburb, into a brighter apartment with windows that let in real light. Started therapy solo, unpacking my own resentments, learning to voice needs instead of swallowing them. For the first time, I feel free, not just from the family drama, but from the shadow I'd lived in. It's empowering, knowing I held the power all along. It wasn't revenge, it was truth, a bitter pill that healed a festering wound. Our family will never be the same. Christmases are quieter now, more genuine, without the forced smiles. But maybe that's what we needed to heal, to become something stronger. The scars remain, a reminder that secrets can destroy or define us. If you're reading this, take a moment. Sometimes, the quiet ones hold the power to change everything. What truths are you hiding? What shifts could you make? Share your stories. Let's talk about it.